What's up guys, my name is Lukas Eriksen and today we're going to talk about this guy right here. So in case you don't know, Aidin Robbins has been growing exponentially over the past year. Now I think a big contributor to his success are his thumbnails. So Aidin's thumbnails are usually extremely punchy and just give you the message of the video extremely quickly. What is so important about thumbnails is that you convey the whole message and the whole meaning of the video in that one photo. Now this is definitely not an easy thing to do, and it does take a couple of tries to get right. Once you've got that, it's just perfect. Because thumbnails are the only thing that people will see when they're clicking on your video. So the most viral videos are literally only viral because of their thumbnails. Well, not completely, but you get the point. Thumbnails, thumbnails, thumbnails. Just focus on your thumbnails. They will get you more views if you have good thumbnails. But today, let's go back to Aidin Robbins. So what Aidin does is usually pick one element of the video, usually the most important thing. So if you did a video about sound, he would take a photo of a microphone, or even find one on some stock photo sites like Unsplash.com. So Unsplash have really high quality photos just submitted by users. It's just like an Instagram, except literally just for photographers and stock photos. So head over there to find some great photos for your thumbnails. Yeah, just can't recommend that enough. I'm not being sponsored or anything, but like, just check Unsplash out. It'll help your project out like immensely. So once you've found that base image, you're gonna head over to Photoshop, make a new 1280 by 720 document, and then drag that image that you've just downloaded from Unsplash or taken yourself right into there. So the next thing we're gonna do now is actually add some text into the video. Now this is pretty simple. Press T on your keyboard and then type in your text. Now Aidin uses Uni Sans. It's really cool font, it's nice and punchy, bold, and it's just really cool. So yeah, the download link for that will be in the description, and let's continue with the tutorial. So say my video is about making Aidin Robbins thumbnail, yeah I know right, Inception right here. So Aidin Robbins, we're gonna write Aidin Robbins thumbnail right there, and that'll be our main text. Now I recommend you guys separate your text into 3 different layers. So separate those 3 words into 3 different text layers, and the next part of this tutorial will be a lot easier. So the next thing we're gonna do now is actually work with the background of the photo. So right here I've got a photo of Aidin. We're gonna select his whole face and body with the selection tool, and then press Command or Control J depending whether you're on Mac or Windows. This will create a duplicate layer of him and whatever the object is, and that will just help to separate us from the background in the next step. And the next thing we're going to do to replicate what Aidin Robbins does in a lot of his thumbnails, which is just colorize the background to a specific color, just to give that image just a bit more highlight and contrast when it's on that background. So now we're going to colorize it to be, I don't know, some color. That will be looking really good. Now if you want to take it a step further, and if your background isn't very separated, you can go ahead and just either take a completely new background or actually just blur out that background using the blur filter tool, the camera lens one. But yeah, so now we're up to our next step. Now we're going to talk about the text compositing. So as you remember, we've made 3 different layers for our text. One of them is going to be Aidin Robbins, and the bottom is going to be thumbnails. So what Aidin usually also does is actually add a knockout text effect to one of his titles in the thumbnail. So in this case, we're going to use thumbnails, as it will just be the thing that will stick out when people are scrolling past your thumbnails. So to create a knockout text effect, draw a rectangle using the rectangle tool and just drag it over your text layer. Now what we're going to do is just make sure that you've got the text layer above the rectangle, then head into the effects settings for the text layer and go to the knockout effect and hit shallow. Now what we're going to do is just hit the fill opacity of that layer to 0, and you should be seeing an awesome text knockout effect. Now make sure that you haven't got any color overlay over your text layer, because that caused me some issues sometimes. Just make sure you've got that turned off, and that looks really good. Now the next thing we can do is just fix up that text just to make that look a bit more punchy. Now this is pretty simple. So pick the Aidin layer and then go to your blending options, add a drop shadow to it, and also add the gradient. Pick one of the colors in the image and then having a solid gradient to white. It's a really small hint, but it looks really good in the finished product. So now that you've done that, just repeat the same process for the next 2 layers, your rectangle and your other layer, and then you'll almost be done with the thumbnail. Now what Aidin usually also does is add something in the foreground just to give his image a bit more depth. Now you can either do this by adding, like for example, we can add here just some leaves using the leaf generator in Photoshop, or we can just add some other objects like lens flares, or just anything that will give your thumbnails depth. So yeah, just do that, just add that in, and then your thumbnail is pretty much complete. One more thing that we can do to make it just look that extra bit cool. As you can see, some of this text here is kind of overlapping with his face. By taking Aidin and putting him on the top of all the text layers. But yeah, that's about it now, and that means your thumbnail is looking really good. What I always do before you export your thumbnail, just zoom out on your project, just make sure that it is legible, that you get the point that you're trying to convey in that thumbnail. So zoom out, and if it's all good, hit that export button at the top and you guys are done. Thank you guys for watching that video. If you did enjoy, remember to smash that like button and subscribe for more weekly content. I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. I hope you guys have a happy and safe week, and I'll see you guys next week. Thank you, Aidin, for making such awesome thumbnails. The filmmaking community really appreciates you and like all the stuff you do. But yeah, thank you guys for watching today's video. I'll see you next week. If you want to watch another video, click one of these. I think it's this side, yeah. If you want to watch a different video, or subscribe to my channel even. Here, there's my channel, and yeah, there's other stuff. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. See you guys next week.